Issue 135. We start out with Sonic not being happy about why Vector brought him to the Special Zone, to tell him that with the Omni Door, he can go there at will. Sonic says rudely that he doesn't want to come here because whenever he does, stupid things happen to him. In a sci-fi fantasy multiverse where robots would get powered by people. Somehow I don't see why he's complaining. He's just making an excuse because he likes Mobius better. After some panels are wasted on recapping what Mighty's father did last issue, Sonic reluctantly agrees to get Porker to make a doorway between the dimensions because it could be useful. Yeah, you never know when you might need the Chaotix' help. Charmy's happy to be able to visit Mobius whenever he wants, and I giggle at Sonic saying sarcastically, "I can hardly wait, Charmy," as that was pretty relatable. Then we see text boxes talking about how far south of New Tech City lies the Mandrake Swamp, where people enter and never return. Oh good, we're finally seeing geography outside of that damn city. Wasn't the Special Zone supposed to be all about holding Chaos Emeralds? A long time ago, I felt like they'd lost sight of what it's supposed to be. I mean, I love world building. It's certainly more believable as a world than Feist Challenge Zone, because there's actual people and cities. But we should get some sort of hint that the place has Chaos Emeralds for Sonic. Otherwise, it's the Special Zone name only, and there's no point. Wasn't it established very early on that this was the zone where the Chaos Emeralds warped to when they were panicking and unstable? There has to be a reason for that, right? Anyways, legends claim that at the center of the swamp is a monster's ancient cursed castle. If no one comes back alive from the swamp, who lived to tell those legends? Did they see it with satellite imaging and flying spy drones? It doesn't say. A text box says that nobody believes those legends today in a magic-filled universe. And then we see some people contact Mighty's father telling him to go. He tells off Mighty briefly for trying to stop him from leaving and telling him what to do, and gives his dinosaur the growing root, which makes it attack Vector and require Mighty to knock it through a wall, not knowing his own strengths. Vector amusingly says, "Mighty, we have enough problems getting insurance on this place without you knocking dinosaurs through the wall." That made me smile. It's such a funny line out of context. Then one of the civilians looking up at the dinosaur lampshades that the Chaotix should move to some place out of the city for the civilians' sake, since their building gets attacked every week. Yeah, they really should. Mighty's father pushes Charmy off the building, and after Sonic jumps down and catches him, he gets annoyed by Charmy's forced speech impediment or whatever and says, "Charmy, you keep talking to me like that and I'll push you off this ledge myself." It would make more sense for him to talk to him like that if Charmy was insulting him or swearing all the time. Mighty pushes his father, and someone who looks like talking lard says that it isn't working. And his friend who's spying on Mighty's father through blue smoke tries a stronger spell and gets everyone's attention with something in the sky looking like a ghost hand, telling Mighty's father to come to him. Again, I don't think anything is too silly for the Sonic series. Like, this is a fantasy universe after all. But sometimes just talking about stuff like this comic makes me laugh. And I think that's a good thing because it gives it charm. Mighty's father and dinosaur disappear, and Vector looks scared for once, saying that while he thought he was only a legend, the creature called Root is real after all. Go figure. The next story starts out with Eggman's fanboys in an airship planning to steal the emeralds from the floating island. Why didn't they try to do this a long time ago? Were they taking a very long time making the airship? And right as Porker and Knuckles are happy with every system working perfectly, the alarm goes off in Haven. They look at the footage of a spy camera showing them a ship that's conveniently broken the island's protective force field. Again, why even write that it has a force field at all then? Porker says that it's using a jamming device and is headed for the ruined city of Megalopolis, which I misread multiple times as Megalopolis and was about to call it that, and instinctively wondered why they were making a detour to the land instead of going straight to Angel Island, because I forgot that it was on Angel Island in the first place. Knuckles says that he'll take the Zoot to check it out, and Porker cowardly makes an excuse not to come with them, saying he'll keep an eye on things here as a lame excuse. While I still feel charm in Porker, because at least he's a lot nicer than Hamlin is, at least Antoine never quit the team because of his cowardice letting it take over his life. Knuckles sees his guard robots carrying on with repairs to the ancient buildings. Good, I thought they were all destroyed. but instead this unique to the comic concept of guard robots is still being used. The robots then deal with the airship and damage it, and it turns out the 4 new recruits to their club that said they would deal with the robots ended up running off as soon as they landed, while the rest of them are in a cage that conveniently showed up. Knuckles figures out from interrogating them that these guys are just being used as a distraction for the other 4 to head for the emeralds themselves, causing them to think they've been betrayed, as I wonder how Knuckles figured this out instead of just assuming the 4 new team members were cowards, plain and simple. When Knuckles stupidly tries to have a talk with some enemies of his, he gets hit right away, blinded temporarily by a spray. Why'd they tell him it was temporary at all? He could have been panicking. And the girl tells the muscular guy to throw Knuckles off the island, where he can safely glide away once his sight returns. Why does his sight have to return for him to be able to glide? He should be able to just glide around and latch onto the island's base and climb up right away. I'm still waiting for these guys to have interesting personalities and backstories to justify me calling them by their names. All they are is goons to me, and that shouldn't be the case when they're major threats because they're trying to steal from Angel Island. The next story starts out with a villain in a UFO threatening everybody that he'll be the new Robotnik. I love that he literally has the word bland in his name. They were self-aware with how badly villains are written in Sonic for once. And I like that he's so skinny and harmless looking to be obvious comic relief. But I still don't see why Civilian dismisses him as no threat. He has a UFO. It turns out Mr. Bland is a guy who inherited a fortune and wasted it on a flying saucer. Does it have lasers? Of course it does, with Bland saying that he'll never be ignored again as he destroys a building. At least that's an excuse for his action, if a lame one, because you still have to have something wrong with you when you go that evil so ridiculously easily. Tails tries to fly up close to it, but it's got enough power to go where he thinks Tails can't follow. Why not? Why would he think he wouldn't be able to follow? Oh, it flies into space! And Tails says he can't fly into space when he literally just did, and I'm wondering how he's able to talk still, instead of passing out from lack of oxygen. I guess Mobius has an extended atmosphere, so there's still oxygen for him. I love that theory, by the way. A civilian tells Tails that he failed, and he lampshades the Captain Obvious remark. Then Tails gets a clever idea about how to stop Bland because he said he was greedy. It really makes sense that Tails would become the hero, relying much more on cleverness and intelligence than Sonic because he's less powerful than him. And the fact that he was so incredibly stupid and incompetent when the comics started out for such a long time just makes his competence now much easier to appreciate, because it's like character development from him getting experience being a hero on his own, but also makes it kind of harder to swallow in retrospect. They feel like 2 completely different characters. He learned to use his brain and have faith in his own ideas, but sometimes it's hard to believe this is the same Tails as the one whose only idea to stop Trog was to write him a strongly worded letter. Bland sees a news report of a shipment of gold rings being transported from the Diamond Mine Zone to Emerald Hill today, tempting him to fly towards Tails, who has some rings nearby. His machine grabs the rings and then holds the spaceship back, making it crash into the ground. Tails pulls him out while flying and is told that he has an extra excuse for his actions. The money didn't bring him happiness, so he lashed out so that other people would feel bad too. The story ends with him in jail, as I wonder if Tails repeated what he said in the previous panel, so that him finishing a sentence much later would make much more sense. The first 2 stories are benign joke ditching. In the first one, Mighty's father is revealed to be some sort of agent, willing or otherwise, of a magician from a swamp who got him to teleport to Mighty to do something after he makes his dinosaur grow and start attacking again. This is a much more creative way to use Mighty's father, like he's kind of a villain but not really. The second story was about Eggman's fanboys trying to invade Angel Island and steal the emeralds, with some of them throwing Knuckles off his island thinking that being blind will somehow stop him from gliding back to it. And the final one was by Luke Stringer and was about a comedy relief film that the comics self-aware to literally call bland, ironically not be bland because he has 2 excuses for his actions, making him an actual character. He hates people for ignoring him, and he's lashing out because inheriting money didn't make him happy. Also, you know how people inherit money? Their relatives die. He's probably mourning for them. Maybe that's the real reason he's so angry. And he wasted his money on a UFO with lasers and ended up getting stopped by Tails weighing it down with gold rings that, it's a good thing he found them. We barely see rings used in this comic. At least they're not using them to grant wishes out of nowhere. But yeah, I kind of feel sorry for him, even though he totally deserves the punishment.